All right, guys. Welcome to episode 100 of The Labyrinth. This month, The Labyrinth will turn 4 years old, and this is officially episode 100 of The Labyrinth. I want to thank all of you, my viewers, for your consistent support. And today, I have a very special guest. His name is Gaurav Holay. He is a writer, musician, chef, and a retreat facilitator. He is the founder of Men's Circle, which conducts men's only retreats. I look at him as a modern social media philosopher and a keen observer of nature and reality. If you want to check his work, I have put the relevant links in the description of this video or audio. So, without further ado, let's begin. All right, Gaurav, welcome to the Labyrinth. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Pratham. Thank you for having me here and really looking forward to the chat.
So, I want to start by asking what motivated you to post your opinions and ideas on social media?
Hmm. So, I think Pratham, for me, at the age of, I think 18 or 19, when I dropped out of engineering, I had done engineering for 2 years and I dropped out of that because I realized that I'm not cut out for studying engineering. Nothing was ever registering in my brain, and it was just a very uh, transformative way, a time in my life because I realized that everything I thought of is not how life is going to go. And there was this sort of like the world gets pulled under from your like feet, and that's the time I found people like Alan Watts, who's a philosopher. You must have heard of him.
Yeah.
And I started reading a lot about Buddhism. I started reading about many different things that sort of blew my mind because I was not exposed to all of these things while growing up. Religion was just something people seem to do uh, out of out of their habits. And anyways, to cut that story short, when I heard Alan Watts is when I had the first time experience of he, I need my voice to go out into the world, and I had this deep desire to change the world. As soon as I heard his voice, as soon as I started reading more about Buddhism, started reading more about Hinduism also, and reading about the figures that we had in the past, um, I had this deep rage inside me all along life. I've been a very angry child, very, just like hyperactive, angry, all of those things. So that I found like there was a channel that I found through my rage, and I thought that maybe I can change the world. But of course, when life happened, I realized that I need to change myself. There's a lot that I need to work on for myself, and there's just been that journey. Um, and through the process, I realized people like to listen to me. Um, I took like I observed that for 10, 12 years where people seemed to be keen to hear what I wanted to say. Here and there, friends, new people you meet here and there. So one thing led to another, and then recently in the last during the pandemic being over, we started a podcast with two of my friends, and that gave me my first sort of broke my shell in terms of coming in front of a camera and how that feels. So once that shell was broken, I had nothing to stop me because now I knew that if I'm in front of the camera once, I can do it again. That's when I started my own videos on Instagram.
So you said that you dropped out of engineering. Was there any kind of anxiety? Because for a lot of Indians, engineering is sort of seen as a stable source of income
Yes,
and
yes,
future and career. So when you dropped out, did it
yeah.
cause some kind of confusion in your life?
Yeah, and firstly, though, I would say I dropped out because of privilege. I had the option of dropping out. Many people don't have that option. I was fortunate enough that my father could support me through that decision as well. So that's one big thing I realized that it's because of privilege I was able to make that mistake and get out of it. But nobody ever forced me to do engineering. I was just the programming is so strong in Indians that we only see those two, three paths in our life. And I grew up in Dubai as a child, from 8th standard to, sorry, from 4th standard to 12th standard, fourth
Okay.
grade to 12th grade. And I just needed my first opportunity to leave from that place, because that place did not sit right with me for a very long time, except the amazing food, shawarmas, and all the Arabic food. But I hated the fact that there is no nature. The fact that the flowers actually smell like manure when you go close to them. So this broke my brain in many ways as I was growing up. And my first opportunity I found, I stepped out and I escaped to India and I came to Bangalore.
Okay.
That's how my engineering started. So of course there was no real basis also in me starting engineering. And like you can imagine, a guy who can't even do engineering was sent to study for IIT, was sent to IIT coaching. And over there also, I was just drawing things on my book. I was never really paying attention because it never registered. Nothing ever got into my head. It felt very pointless. It felt above my intelligence level or something like that. But it just never registered. And I think that's just, yeah, it's the sickness that we have in our country. We still have that sickness. Uh, there are like so many people, yeah.
Okay, I have a lot of NRI friends who grew up in Dubai and Abu Dhabi in parts of Middle East.
Yeah,
They make I they make this mistake or they make this thing of comparing the Middle East to India, and they say how
yeah,
much better it is. I can't say because I've never been there.
yeah.
In maybe in many ways it is. Maybe I'm sure they have a much better infrastructure, law and order, which is something that people do not experience here.
Yeah, basic necessity.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but at the same time, some people cannot go there. There are a lot
mm,
of people who say that they've been there, but they want to come back because it felt like an artificial place.
it is.
Uh,
Yeah,
it it felt like an extremely structured city where there is almost nothing natural. Did you feel that way as well?
absolutely, absolutely. Like all the lakes are mostly man-made, um, and the trees and everything, you have to plant it with like you have to grow stuff in a desert. So it's like kudos to them for engineering. Like the stuff they've done with engineering is like still spoken about, always will be spoken about. Creating islands, extending the dimensions of their land, and just like yeah, just seeing things, making it happen. And money does that. Once you have money, you can make anything happen. So in that sense, yeah, it was fascinating at first, but any sensible person would get bored within a month of this extravagance, like life and flashy lights, tiny things. कितना ही देखोगे ना, कितना मतलब क्या देगा वो तुमको आगे जाके? Uh, so that was my thing about it. That it was like I went to Dubai during COVID because we had some leftover paperwork to finish before we completely closed that chapter. And it just now feels even more like it's one big mall. Like the whole place feels like one big mall. And even the metros and the metro stations connecting to the mall. So every station is connected to a mall also, wherever there is a mall. So that mall has a station connected to it. So that's the main lifestyle. And now they've been very lenient with partying, with alcohol, with all of these things. So now they're getting those kind of people as well. So, people who want to make their money and splurge it on these kind of things, only these kind of things, on having experiences over your weekends or stuff like that. But for me personally, mountains are important, rivers are important, and that's just non-negotiable that I need in my life.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen a lot of your videos are shot in nature.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, why is that? Why is that always happening? Why are you always so driven towards being close to nature?
Because it's the most natural I feel. It does it. It's like therapy without having to talk. So have you heard of this term called forest bathing? So
Yes,
there's
yes.
yeah, so forest bathing, and if you've noticed in my videos, I always wear sleeveless and I always wear shorts because the purpose of that has always been that I want to expose as much as I can to the forest when I'm in the forest. or when I'm in the or when I'm under the sun. I get tanned. I don't mind. Like I'm not too worried about my color. It can go black. It can come back to that. That's inconsequential to my life. And yeah, so that's why I'm always in nature. And from a video making perspective, I just feel like it ended up being like a thing where people got inspired to go out. After the first few months of making my videos, I was just making them outside because I love being outside. And I realized that it was inspiring people to ask questions like, "Oh, I really want to go for a hike myself. It's been so long. I've not even, been around trees, let alone a park or something like that." So that I think that sort of carried on. And then I realized it takes a lot of effort to go out and shoot out there because I have to take multiple takes. I'm always sweating while walking. There are people around, there are monkeys, there are birds, there are all these kind of things happening. But then slowly, I just stopped worrying so much about the process.
Okay, okay. So you said that you like to expose yourself in nature,
Yeah,
like forest bathing, and the thing about social media is that you don't just it's not just about physical exposure, but even mental exposure.
absolutely.
You're revealing who you are as a
Yeah,
person on
yeah,
social media. And a lot of the time for content creators, including me, especially when I just started this podcast, I
yes,
used to hate my voice, and I
yeah,
used to ask this question like, am I cringe? Is this
yes,
cringe?
yes, yeah, yeah.
So it's not just about physical, it's mentally when you're exposing yourself.
To the world.
Does that make you feel vulnerable? How does that make you feel?
Um, That's a great question because you are exposing yourself to the world. Uh, and the more you think about it, the more scarier it gets. So, as much as I do use my brain for a lot of things, for a lot of things, I avoid using my brain because intellect is the enemy of creativity. The moment you start analyzing stuff, you will fall into a pit that you've dug all along. And that's just how I see it. I prefer to be stupid sometimes. I prefer to be like a like ignorant dumbass. Just do things and you find
I
out what is going to happen.
I think the correct word is childish.
Childish, yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. Like being childish is a very big luxury and a very big skill that not everyone can do because people get so consumed by their image. And so, like you said about the voice, I hated my voice when I heard it for the first time because I heard it through a recording, a phone recording, which I had taken a voice note. I was like, I'm not able to type right now. Let me record this in a voice note. And this was a long time back. And when I heard it back, I was like, is this what I'm subjecting the world to? Like, this voice is what people are listening. I felt bad for people. And because I understood at that moment, I can't change this. This voice cannot change because I was like, I have no intention or I'm not going to put that much effort to change my voice. So I just understood people have to deal with it. And that cringe took me a couple of months. Wow. So this is what the world's going to hear when they hear me. So yeah, in a way, like, you can call it narcissistic, but I think that's the only way for me to move forward in those moments where you have to just believe in yourself and you just like have to be like, fuck it, jo hoga dekha jayega. People have to deal with it. That's their problem. I am going to put out my heart as cleanly as possible, as with my best intention. And yeah, even if I'm saying something wrong, I will correct it later. Like there was this video of mine. I'm not sure if you got a chance to see it. It reached like 5.7 million views on Instagram. And that video, I said something very controversial because I was upset about my ex-girlfriend, about whatever had happened during that moment in my life. And I said something that you watch the video when you get a chance. But that video basically was dividing men and women because I was a man upset about women and about how women see men in that context of having enough money, being able to provide all of these things. So the video was about that. But when I put out the video, I didn't have any intention कि इसका कुछ होने वाला है or this is gonna go big. But the video went to massive lengths of virality, and for 2 months I was hidden in my room because of the amount of hate that I got, the amount of abuses that I got, uh, all for my family. They abused my whole family in the messages, in the comments. All of this happened, and dealing with like 10, 15,000 comments for one person, uh, it's quite a lot. Like it's a huge. I realize it's a very big ordeal that a content creator has to go through once their stuff goes viral. So in that moment, I realized how much respect I have for every person and every craft that a person is doing. Because till we don't go through it, we have really no concept of what it means, on the behind closed doors, what's really happening in the person's mind. Uh, but yeah, so that moment I realized कि ठीक है मैंने कुछ तो गलत किया है यहाँ पे. I've done something wrong by and it was not based on just the comments, but the comments inspired me to think about it. It inspired me to think that what kind of a guy am I if I'm going to split men and women further in society? So I'm going to enrage them against each other, considering that I may have a voice that's reaching so many people, and I just have 13,000 followers. Okay, it's not a big deal right now, but the power that that one video could hold, if it's reaching 5.8 million people. So I realized I have a sense of responsibility, very big responsibility, and what am I going to do further? But to be honest, when I found out the video went viral, I understood a formula. I understood how social media algorithm works, and I understood how people react. So I milked it. I did it again. I did it again. I did it 3 times, and those 2 times also it got me a good result. That's when my conscience started crumbling. Ki, this is not the way to do this. Even though it was getting me the numbers, it was getting me all the recognition. Like people who I would never imagine were starting to get in touch with me and were starting to open conversations with me because of that opinion. And that opinion is hidden in a lot of men's brains. They are not just able to express it. That's why the video went so viral because it's something everyone thinks about, but nobody is able to talk about it
What
in
is that
public.
opinion?
The opinion was that marriages are ending because women now have money. Any woman who is financially independent will has no reason to stay with a man, uh,
Yeah.
if she doesn't want to. And in that, you could sense there was some anger towards women that I had portrayed in that video because I was genuinely upset with my life, with myself, with. So I put it on another gender. So that was my error, and I learned from that. But I also milked that. I took it to another extent. I tried it again and again, but then obviously the conscience came in. I thought that this is a fuck all thing to do because you're dividing an already divided gender. So
Yeah.
you're not doing anything for society. You're in fact just creating more fire. You're just creating more destruction where there's already a lot of destruction happening. So
Yeah.
that was how my
Yeah,
path went.
I don't look at that comment that women no longer need men
Yeah,
because they're financially independent as an insult to women or even men,
yeah,
but I would look at it as an honest observation because
yeah.
it's actually true.
It is.
Women
It is
and
true.
men no longer need each other. I live alone. I cook, I clean. I don't need a
Yeah,
woman to do it for me.
yeah,
And
yeah,
most women today are capable of earning for themselves. These are
yeah.
the new dynamics. We have to deal with it.
We have to, of
So,
course,
yeah.
of
So
course.
I don't see it as an insult, but a lot of the rage bait content creators on one side we see the I know I don't know if this is even the right term. One side we see the toxic feminists, and on the other side we see these alpha male, sigma male type of men. They're
Yeah,
both trying to
yeah,
add ghee to the fire of gender war
yeah,
to milk more views, which
yeah.
is ultimately unhealthy for society.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Like even gender and even caste. Now, caste is a topic that still exists in India, without a doubt. Someone needs to talk about it. Someone needs to fix it. But there are content creators who've just caught that thing, and they know it's always going to get them traction. And at one point, I was thinking that, oh, they are doing such good for society by speaking about something like caste and then trying to change the narrative on that. But within a few months, I realized they are doing the same thing every other rage bait content creator is doing. So they found their rage bait. So there's division always going on, and there are always people capitalizing on that division. Um, yeah, but and like you rightly said, dynamics are changing for women. Women are earning, men are able to cook, clean. But now we have an opportunity to look way beyond that. Now it's no longer a, a partnership that only fulfills these requirements for each other. Now you can truly look at companionship, and that's why also it's taking so many people so long to find a partner. It's people are becoming way more choosy because now it's really about those nuances of the partner, right? Not just about their profession or their ability to provide or ability to nurture. It's beyond that. Like, do I really even want to be with this person? Because everything is happening fine in my life. I don't need a partner to, yeah, I don't need a partner to make my life work. I need a partner who can give good companionship, who I can share my life with, and something like that. Yeah, but I still don't understand the concept of marriage. I'm not a big fan of it. In fact, I decided at a very early age that I will never get married around 14 or 15 because I just saw that it's kind of not what it appears from the outside. Um, so yeah, that's my thing about marriage.
Okay. Okay. Do you ever get advice or opinions like, oh, you will say that now, but
Hmm.
as you age, you might change your opinion on marriage. You
Yeah,
might
yeah,
feel
I've learned
lonely
to
and you
shut
want
all
to.
those people up. Like my life is
Okay.
very good because now nobody talks up to me like that. Nobody tries to give me a suggestion. वो सबका दुकान बंद कर दिया मैंने बहुत पहले से. Because since I was a child, I used to not like people telling me anything in terms of how to live my life in the future or how to prepare for that. So I was always a rebel and like I won't get into too much of it now, but like my childhood was a bit shaky, very like shaky. Being in Dubai, there's not much connection with people. Plus, parents were like super stressed all the time. So the life was very uneven, and everyone has problems and challenges in their life, without a doubt. But that's like my sort of disdain for society started from there, and I started rejecting everything that was ever told to me, and I always did the opposite of whatever was
Okay.
told to me.
Okay. What was the intention behind starting Men's Circle?
So Men's Circle started with a vision that okay, so I've hosted a bunch of retreats for other collectives over the last 3 4 years, and I've been hosting a lot of people for the last 12 15 years. Like you can in terms of parties or at home get-togethers, stuff like that. I'm a DJ from the last uh, couple of years, and I like to host a lot of underground scenes where it's just a bunch of friends, and there's just like space where you can explore with loud music, and you can. I like to play for like extended periods, like 6 7 8 hours. So when you do that as a DJ, you have a responsibility of um, nudging or directing people's consciousness, their ability to see the sounds they are hearing, the sensations they might be feeling. You have the responsibility of guiding that as a DJ because sound is an incredibly powerful tool, and if there is anything that can bring you closer to God or bring you closer to the universe or whatever you want to call it, it's sound. Through sound only you can get full alignment with the universe. And this is not some whoosh whoosh talk. It's just something that is being practiced for thousands of years. That's why chanting, all of these things, they work. Like if you go to a church, there are like choirs. If you go to a mosque, there are, the mullah who sing, who do the azan. Then if you go to a temple, there's chanting. So sound is the main thing. And I knew that I had made this connection with sound. I had made this connection with transformation. That's how my seedling had started. That I love to host people. I love to bring people together, cater an experience for them where they realize things about themselves, where they are able to work through their personal um, traumas or personal situation or whatever to rise out of it and find some clarity, find stepping stones where they can get like a light in the dark, and where they can snap onto something and find something to get out of, get out with. So this has been happening for many years. And in the last 3, 4 years, the retreat facilitation happened. And through those retreats, I realized that when there's a bunch of men sitting together, hypothetically, I'm just going to say four straight men, two gay men. Okay? Four straight men, two gay men sitting in a room talking about something. The conversation is going deep. They're talking about some profound things. It's rising. They're opening up new ideas. And then a woman walks into the room. A very beautiful woman walks into the room. All their brain from their head goes down. Okay? They are no longer in the room for the conversation they started. It's not the woman's fault. It's the guys who are completely out of touch with their sexuality. They're out of touch with intimacy. They have no clue about how to process a woman's presence, except for the fact that, this goes inside that. That's a lot of guys who are still stuck in that, and they've been nurtured like that. They've been taught like that. Their parents have given them this kind of exposure, because everything starts with upbringing. I think the upbringing is the biggest critical factor that is destroying most lives. And wherever there are great lives happening, upbringing has a big part to play in that. And I realized that's why there is a space for men to come together and to have that brotherhood where they can be themselves, and they don't need to worry about being judged by the other gender, or being not feeling, whatever the insecurity might be, not letting that come up in that moment because of a woman's presence. So we're trying to create a space where men can heal with other men, where men can meet other men who have healed perspectives of women, healed perspectives of life. Like some men, their issue is they overwork themselves because they have this vicious cycle of survival, and this desperateness that tells them that if you don't work even for a month, you will never get a job again. You will never get an opportunity again. Don't fuck it up right now. Don't make your boss angry because he will this will destroy your life. So you can't do anything after this. So there's this fear in everyone's brain, and that fear extends to even like their partners. They do exactly as their partner says because they are afraid the partner will run away or will leave. It's hanging by this thread where if you don't do what I want you to do, I will leave. So this is it's a very scary situation. Like you're not for someone to be in, walking on eggshells that they can't find that space. So I think I digressed a bit, but the point was that men come together, teach each other, transfer knowledge between each other, inspire each other, leave women out of your mind for now and out of consciousness for now. But you can't take it out of your mind. Like the woman that you like or the women in your life, she'll always be with you. But this is a place where you can heal yourself. So you can approach the world as a more aligned person, where you are at least sure about where your heart, where your mind, and where your body is. And the entire outcome of the retreat is just heart, body, mind, because I believe that if these three things are aligned for people, life will begin to unfold in the best possible way. Um,
Okay.
yeah, and that's what I thought.
Okay. Can men and women be friends?
Uh, if you asked me 3 years back, I would say no. If you ask me now, I would say maybe, because uh, they can be friends, but I don't think that takes away the fact that we are constantly driven by nature. We are driven by our primitive forces. That doesn't mean those primitive forces will make us act in a certain way, right? We have, like, if we are with a beautiful girl who happens to be our friend for the longest time, we've made terms with her that this is never going to be a thing. Or suppose she's married, you're married, but you're still spending time with this woman friend of yours. It's very natural that you will constantly have surges of emotions for her. You will have surges of desire for her. She will also have moments where there will be surges of emotions, surges of desire for the other person, but women are more capable of um, managing these emotions. They are far more adept to controlling, managing, and regulating these emotions and not letting them show on the surface. Men, on the other hand, um, we are capable and adept at hiding other kind of things. But these kind of raw emotions, primitive emotions, when they come up, it's very difficult for men to hide them. It at least expresses itself, right? So when it expresses itself, अगर आपने वो expression छोड़ दिया मुंह से, if that expression has left your face, you've already communicated. Like if it has risen to the point where it shows on your face, the woman is already aware of what is happening. Uh, so in that sense, I think men-women friendships are tricky because the man and the woman, I think the woman is more capable. So let's leave her aside for now. The man in this case has to be in tune and satisfied with himself. Firstly, he needs to be satisfied with himself. He needs to be able to explore intimate relationships for him to not treat every other female friend as a potential partner. Because if you treat every other woman friend as a potential partner, is when you won't be able to see them as friends. Because it will be like, am I getting the reciprocity I want? Is she reciprocating the same feelings? She's not, then she's, anyways going to fall out of your life. She's not going to be there. Uh, but yeah, I think only we men have this question. Can men and women be friends? I don't think women have this question.
Yeah.
Women are fine with it.
Yeah. No, I like the point that you brought up, that how women are better at managing their emotions.
Yeah.
Uh, we often hear that women are too emotional for this job, women are too
Mm.
emotional. But I have found that it's actually the men who are more emotional, because if I go take my two wheeler and if I go on the road, it'll always be some dude coming on the wrong way and abusing and hurling
Mm.
insults.
Mm.
It's almost never a woman. So
Yeah.
it's always the men who are getting into fights in streets.
Yeah.
That that is uncontrolled emotions right there. So
Yes.
why are we blaming the other gender?
Yeah. That's a narrative, no? That's a patriarchal narrative that we've created. Like this is a very common thing in maybe our dad's generation and the generation before that. It's a very common thing in India कि आपकी औरत को दबा के रखो. Make sure your wife is suppressed so that she doesn't do what comes to her mind. Make sure she never acts out of freedom, because if you let her act out of freedom, she will sit on your head and she'll play your life. This is a very, very common thinking that even people now have. Even now, people have this, but people can't sustain it now. Men cannot sustain this because nothing is going to happen in their life if they think like this. But yet, chalta aa raha hai. This has been the thought process for a lot of men, that you cannot let a woman express herself freely, because if you do that, and if she is able to tell you exactly what she wants, she can ruin your life. This is what we've grown up with. Now, even if people have not explicitly come and told you this, this is something that's been in their mind, and this still exists in people's mind. Um, I think men are generally scared of women, because when a woman takes responsibility for her life, she can do things that are very difficult for men to handle, because she is, in a way, very well balanced and well rounded. Uh, if she can take care of her emotions, if she can regulate her emotions, if she knows exactly what kind of conversation to have with which kind of person, if she can adapt like water, like flow into people's lives and treat them exactly the way they deserve to be treated or need to be treated or want to be treated, that's where women shine. That's where the feminine shines, right? And we are saying men, women, but it's actually masculine, feminine. It's a part of us in all senses. Like, we both have that. Like, my creative side is my feminine side. And in my life personally, I embraced my femininity long before I even knew that how it feels for Gaurav to be masculine. Because I've always been a very creative type, like drawing stuff, writing poetry since school time. So I always had that strong feminine side. I used to feel things very deeply. And then once I left home is when the masculine side started coming into the picture. So to answer your question, I think It's just insecure men who've made this narrative that women are emotional. It's a very stupid thing to say if you look at it. What the fuck does it mean women are emotional? Like, और कुछ बोलो ना कि तुमको समझा ही नहीं है, तुम बोल ही नहीं पा रहे हो, तुमको आता ही नहीं है, बस बोल दिया women are emotional because they haven't understood exactly what it is that's going on. They haven't understood themselves, and that's why it's, yeah, man, like it's a lot of unhealed people. And as wrong as it sounds, I feel like the world will have a better chance once the old people just get wiped out. Once those two, three generations go, new people start coming in, maybe something can happen. But right now, it's hard.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, because I think there are a lot of young people who are stupid too, and a lot of people
Yeah,
take time to become stupid. They become stupid as they grow older.
yeah, that's
So a
also
lot of,
there. That's also
yeah.
there.
So yeah, and we are talking about this men, women, emotion,
Yeah,
rational thing,
yeah.
masculine, feminine. What do you think of these Andrew Tate brand of people? While they say a lot of toxic things, why do they still end up? Why do they still end up being relevant? Maybe there's something useful they're saying. Is
Yeah.
there?
So
Okay.
there's this Instagram channel which something school of knock or something like that, school of something, and the whole channel is Andrew Tate sharing wisdom, sharing advice and wisdom, and everything makes sense. Each and everything he's saying is like golden words of wisdom. Okay, now I'm not saying that I support him or I'm not saying that I'm a fan of him, but who am I to even deny him? Like मेरे मेरे कहने से क्या फर्क पड़ता है, bro? What the fuck am I gonna sit here in my small little cubicle office and talk about Andrew Tate, who's like it's just social media has given everyone a mouthpiece, and they think speaking about it is going to somehow uh, make their mission come true, and that's why people are talking. But I think people are very misdirected. Like I don't know what he's done. Okay? I don't know what Andrew Tate has done, but from what little bit I know, something about enabling women to become uh, cam models and something like that, right? Something on those lines.
He, yeah, he used to be an MMA fighter, and
Yeah.
then he and his brother started a company which is similar to OnlyFans.
Okay. Okay. So, but the women joined by choice, right?
Yeah, of course.
So I don't know what people are angry about. They have all the rights to be angry. I don't get it because I never looked into it. I try to take the best from everyone. Like I said about this page on Instagram that I found. That's the only connection I have with Andrew Tate in my learning process is where he's sharing his wisdom about how to live a healthy life according to him. That page does not cover his opinions about women because that is not something I want to learn. That's something that I've already developing myself. Uh, but you can learn from everybody, man. And I think a person who closes off people is obviously because it's something that they are insecure about that this person brings up. Have you heard of this person called Alok Menon?
Alok Menon.
Yeah, Alok B.
No.
Menon. He's a cross-dressing man who dresses
Oh
like a woman.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Unfortunately, I have. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I.
same. If you asked me 2, 3 years back, I would say the same thing. Unfortunately, I know who he is. I've seen him, but bro, he's one of the most well-spoken, articulate, intelligent, compassionate, uh, the kind of people who can help world peace to happen. This
Okay.
happened to me over the period of time. Because first I was like, ew, what the fuck is this guy? He has chest hair and he's wearing a low neck, and that's freaking my brain out. Like it's messing me up. Like this is disgusting. Okay, this is how I started. This is how my introduction was to Alok Menon by seeing his videos. See, this is disgusting. I don't want to see this ever again. But that was a time when I realized how can you have such a strong reaction by looking at some guy on a screen who doesn't even know you exist and he's never probably gonna find out you exist. How can you have such a strong reaction to him? तुम्हारे घर पे आके he's not walking around in your home with a low neck, his hair, chest hair popping out. He's not doing that in your home. But you are looking at it on a screen, and how can you have this strong reaction? There must be something wrong. And I think it took me back to the time when, as a child, whenever I used to cry, I used to be told कि लड़की की तरह रो मत, don't cry like a girl, ठीक है? And that, I think, it kept destroying a part of me that was okay with being openly expressive. It kept pushing that thing into a hole, like, stuffing it into a hole. Ki ladkiya don't cry like a girl. You keep crying like a girl. So that, I think that's where the wound started for me. Ki, but crying is so natural for me. So why am I being called another gender just because I'm crying? So obviously it put into my head that having any kind of feminine features or aspects in your life are not manly enough. So I started relating my witnessing of Alok Menon with this side and many other things that came into the picture over time. Because getting out into the world, I realized that a poker face is very important. Most men realize this over time. Most women also realize this, especially if you want to become an entrepreneur, if you want to do things yourself, if you want to, even like in corporates, if you want to not be affected by the management, if you want to not be affected by your peers, you need a face that does not show emotions, right? Because that's the only way they'll never know what you're thinking about. They'll never know your next move if you have a poker face. So this was a big part of masculinity for me personally when I realized that I was into the world on my own. And yeah, yeah, I think that's where I think Alok Menon is an important figure in my life.
Okay. I've not consumed much of this person's content. I
Yeah,
just came
yeah.
across Alok Menon maybe a few years ago,
Yeah, just try
and
closing your eyes. Just try closing your eyes
yes.
and listening to him. A few videos. I'll trust me. You'll see what I'm saying right now. Like you heard his
Okay.
words, you'll feel it.
Okay, I'll give it a try. So, you lived in the Middle East, you
Yes.
lived in Dubai, and you know how organized it is, you know how clean it is, and you know how
Yeah, I've lived in
people
Australia as well for 4 years.
respect the rules over there. So, why do you think here in our country Indians lack basic civic sense?
Hmm. I think firstly because the most common excuse that the Indians give is boss log hai, lot of people, too many people in one place. That's the common excuse that people give, and I don't know the answer to this question fully, but I want to say that um, if the government sets an example, uh, if the government sets the right example, and if it does it regardless of it not working the first few times. And by first few times, I mean like it will not work for a long time because people don't have the sense yet. But I don't know if we are investing enough in that, uh, like civic sense. So one thing about so like I sorry I cut you off in the middle, but I also mentioned that I lived in Australia for 4 years, and what I've realized with these countries is that they have a blanket media cover thing. What that means is only the best can get out into the world, uh, and somehow this is protected. So, like for instance, I'll give you an example. One of my friends who I met over there, who happens to be a Muslim guy, was being chased by a knife attacker, which is a common thing in Australia, okay? But you will never know about it. I got mugged twice in my 4 years in Australia, and I've lived all my life here. Nothing has happened to me in Mumbai. In Mumbai, nothing has happened to me. But in Australia, I've almost gotten mugged twice. This guy was being chased by a knife attacker, and he hid behind a car and tried to call the cops. First thing the cops asked is, "What is your name?" So he said, "My name is Mohammed Wasim something something." And they said, "Okay, hang tight, we'll send someone soon." That guy was sitting there for like 3 hours hiding behind the car. Nobody showed up. He pissed there where he was standing because he couldn't move from there. So, like, this is a very small incident which is happening even in like developed countries. But developed countries are shitholes if you actually look behind the alleys. If you look behind what the camera is showing you, there's an alley that smells like piss, that's full of garbage, that's full of people on drugs who are lying down on the street. So you will never see this, right? You'll never see the fact that in Melbourne metros, there are kids who come and take blades and cut the seats, make graffiti with blades on the glass as well, use permanent markers and destroy all the property. ये इंडिया में नहीं होता है. इंडिया में लोग थूकते हैं. They do different kind of artwork. They spit in the corners and they make red artwork. But you'll never see a kid in India vandalizing the train with a marker, with a blade, tearing seats like that. That is not happening here because people, if that was happening here, this country would not exist anymore. So what even I'm understanding this as I'm telling you because I've not articulated it in that sense. But vandalism is not happening. कचरा लोग फेंक रहे हैं, कचरा फेंक रहे हैं, पागलों की तरह गाड़ी चला रहे हैं, wrong side पे आ रहे हैं. Because now those things, yes, those things exist. But I missed that when I was in Australia. I missed the chaos. I missed the realism. I missed people going nuts here and there. So because everything was so straight and in line, but then eventually you realize that like it's great. The best thing about Australia and Dubai is that things work. Like things work. They just work. But you'd be surprised to know that if you have, say, a root canal that we need to do in Australia, you're in pain, because like physical pain is happening in your teeth. You will have to wait sometimes for 3-4 months before you meet a doctor because there's a line. India में, if you have a pain, you just keep going to some government hospital. कोई आके निकाल के जाएगा, पट्टी लगा के जाएगा, बोलेगा भाग अभी घर से, निकल इधर से जल्दी. They'll do it immediately. No other country has this. Like not Australia, not America. I don't know about the Scandinavian countries, but these guys are messed up with their healthcare. Okay, they do not offer healthcare. In India, government hospitals are always responding, always performing, always fixing people's lives. So I'm just saying that there are so many big differences in what appears, what we can see versus what is actually happening in these countries as well. Coming back to your question, I still don't know how to answer that. I don't know how we can get more civic sense, but I still feel like we are in a much better place. To go to see how little people of this country are paying for this country to happen. What, barely like 6% people or 8%, I don't know, that very small figure of us actually pay income tax to the government, right? So let's say 10% of us paying income tax to the government. Is 90% people who are living technically for free in this country.
Yeah, but isn't that a bad sign? Because that means that there's that much poverty in this country
Yes,
that they can't even
yes,
pay
yes.
taxes.
So that means there's so much poverty. That means people are not even being fed properly. So civic sense तो कितनी दूर की बात है भाई? Civic sense will come when they have food on their table, when they don't need to worry about dying the same night. Then civic sense will come. Then they will be like, okay, I feel safe enough that now I can think about keeping this place clean. If a person is not even safe in their existence, that's the least of their concern. Like this kachra fake denge, they'll do spit here and there. They don't care about that because they don't know if, their life is going to be okay. We
Yeah.
think about all that because we have a home, we have a family, we have a backup. If we fall sick, people will be there to take care of us. If these guys fall sick, ये जो यहाँ पे so many people come from so many parts of India, like the labor class, if they're living like 10 people in one room, if they fall sick, there's nobody to look after them. There's literally nobody to look after them. So that's where the government hospital that's taking care of everybody. That's literally the only reason people are still alive, I think, in most cases. In other countries, now that's not the case in Australia because there, if you don't have a job, the government will give you money every 2 weeks. They will give you $500 every 2 weeks if you're unemployed and you're an Australian citizen. So now what a lot of people do, they take that money from the government and then they do a cash job where they are not on the system. So they're getting the $500 from the government and they're getting the cash from the job. So they're getting both ways and they're just leeching off. Uh, so I find that a hyper lack of civic sense, that you're taking money away from people who deserve it by doing this stunt that you're doing. So yeah, I think basically if people just feel safe enough to live, that's when civic sense will come in. That's
Yeah,
when
this is
all the
like
other stuff.
yeah, this is like that Maslow's hierarchy of needs,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
where
yeah,
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 where people are always saying that Biharis are like this, Biharis are like that,
yeah,
but they don't have food on the plate, and they come to
yeah,
Mumbai and Bangalore to work in construction jobs, and
yeah,
they don't even have enough food on their plate. Obviously, they're going to spit gudka.
yeah,
The people who say that India's image is being ruined by garbage are people who live in gated communities, and they
mm,
have the luxury of saying things like that. Now,
mm,
of course, I'm not saying that they're wrong.
mm,
We should care about hygiene, and we should care about image, and we
mm,
should care about garbage and all of that. But we should also, I think, look at the people who lack civic sense with
yeah,
empathy, and conclude that if we do not give them the capacity to actually improve themselves, then they won't.
they won't. They have no
Yeah.
basis to do that, and they have no like, yeah, and it only happens usually when their friends are doing it. Like in our circles, if I see a guy littering, I will go and like I can go and tell him something because he's my friend or I know him personally. Or if there is a common circle, I will go tell them. But how many people on the street am I going to stop every day from littering? That's not a sustainable solution. How many people will you go and stop individually? You'll end up losing your mind in the process. Even though my blood boils when I see someone just like randomly throw shit out of a window, out of their car or their bus or whatever it is, their rickshaw, and it really boils my blood. But I had to come to terms with understanding how to deal with this. And the solution one is go and clean it up yourself. Whenever you have time, go clean the shit up yourself. So once or twice I've got the place I go to, the mountain that I go to. Sometimes I take a big garbage bag and I clean the entire trail, like a half-kilometer trail. I'll go end up cleaning it, and then I'll come back and I'll dump the garbage somewhere. So that's one thing I found to keep my mind calm. See, I am not gonna go and tell every Tom, Dick, Harry ki kachra mat feko, don't litter here and there. That's gonna make my life uncomfortable in a way where there'll be no result and I'll constantly be angry because I'll be looking for the next person who's littering and going and trying to tell him something. Anyways, and I can do this only in Mumbai. If I was doing this in Delhi, if I were to tell someone about littering, they would probably shoot me. Like if I was to do this in Bihar, I would probably get shot. But I live in Mumbai. I live in one of the safest cities in the world. To be honest, it's the safest city in the world. Considering the fact that I've lived in these two other countries, having traveled to 12 to 13 other countries, because my father was able to provide that for us. He worked for an airline. So early on, I had the exposure of visiting all these different countries, and the illusion broke in my head. I was like, there's nothing special. Like, it's just those people who are used to their life, everything is good, everything works, but you'll still stand up like a sore thumb. And you'll be like one brown guy in a sea of white people. Fine, if you're okay with that life, please go for it. I rather be with my own people. I rather be on my own land. I rather deal with the problems of my own land because these are still closer to my heart than the other. Of course, we are all one. We are okay. All that stuff comes later. All that comes much
Vasudeva
later.
Kutumbakam.
हाँ, ये सब बाद में आता है जब पेट में खाना होता है, जेब में पैसा होता है. All this stuff comes after that. But I just thought at a base level, if I want to grow with a country, it has to be my own country. It has to be my own people. And I've had many opportunities of settling abroad, but I've rejected them consciously, not out of some patriotism, but it's fucking boring outside. Like I find it extremely boring to be in these countries because all the illusions break after some time. Like, like beautiful women, great money, amazing cars, great restaurants, great experiences. Okay, fine. You'll do that for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Then what? Then you have to go inside. You have to look at your heart. You have to look at what grounds you. So those things are missing from there. Um, so yeah, civic sense. So
Okay.
it's a much later topic.
Okay. Your Instagram bio says that you're a writer, musician, chef, and retreat facilitator. And
Yeah,
earlier you said that you dropped out of engineering
yeah.
and you're doing DJing for a while. So if you don't mind me asking, what exactly do you do for a living?
I I do all those things for a living actually.
Okay.
Uh, since I have a very strong ADHD mind, my mind cannot settle on one thing, and it hates the idea of one profession, one life, because I feel like I'm here to have a great time. That's my primary goal in life, is to have a great time. Everything else is secondary to that. Like literally everything comes secondary to that. Having a great time can mean so many different things for me, right? Sometimes it may just mean I want to go for a walk in the nature, in the forest that I go to. Sometimes it just means I want to sit in my room and have like 6 beers and do DJing for 8 hours and not be disturbed by anyone. Sometimes it means buying something for my mother. Sometimes it means taking my brother out for dinner. It can mean so many things, but primary goal always has been have a great time, and my profession sort of fueled that part of my life. So currently, I've actually just started a position with there's a organic grocery brand in Mumbai, and I'm going to be working at a position where like it's more critical and it's a wider scope of position. So like I've created the life that I want, because this position is the exact example of what I wanted in life. I wanted something that takes into account my writing skill, my cooking skill, my designing skill, and my people communication skill. So this job does all of those things. I couldn't have imagined that this job would show itself, but since I wanted it, this job created itself in the universe. The person got manifested in the universe who wanted me only. Now, his thing is that we have only worked with each other, but can you blur out the name of the company just when you edit it?
Okay. Yeah,
If
sure,
that's
sure.
possible, because it's just a very nascent stage. I don't want to. I'll tell you everything about it in a personal chat also. But
Okay.
the person also got manifested into whatever. I don't like that word a lot, but the person appeared, and the person knew that I am the only right person for the job. He did not hire anyone for 2 years. He waited for me to show up till I was ready, till he was ready to hire me. So like it's becoming more and more clear that I can get whatever I want. See, there's nothing stopping me. Like I can literally get whatever I want, and it should only be that if it's aligned with you, then and I keep talking about the word alignment because that's the only true way to know if you're going in the right direction or not. Because if you think you're not going in the right direction, you go to some guru, you go to some spiritual seeker, a spiritual guru, or like someone like that. Like you get an idea of what I'm saying. If you go to them, and if they turn out to be not great people, if they turn out to be manipulative, if they turn out to have their own agenda, you'll be fucked because you'll be a robot. Then you'll be a slave for them. Now there are very few spiritual leaders who can liberate you. Uh, Lately, that's not the case. With most people, that's not the case. Everyone has a business, everyone has an agenda, everyone wants to grow their clout on Instagram and social media. So it's not the same anymore. So, yeah, like I think dead people are more helpful for me in that sense. But yeah, at the moment, this is what I'm doing. So you can say that I'm a
Okay.
marketing manager, which covers all these different skills. And Men's Circle is my personal project where I want to start retreats, but I am not sure how Men's Circle will go ahead because I learned a lot during this one session, and I want to make some changes to it.
Okay. Yeah. Has the word spirituality become sort of a fad?
Yeah, man, it's such a dirty word now. I hate that word, to be honest. I stay away from that word. I don't use that word in any of my content or any of my marketing for the retreat or anywhere because the word has become like you for me now. Everyone is using it for all the weird reasons, and I feel like the word is not required because we are spiritual beings having a human experience. You must have heard of that thing. We are all spiritual beings having a human experience. So it's like air talking about being air. Like, get over yourself, dude. It's done. We all know we are all spiritual beings. There's no two ways about it. So that's why I find that word unnecessary. And yeah.
Yeah. So then, do you have any religious beliefs, or what is your general opinion on religion itself? Does it have a lot of benefits in the modern era?
Um, I think religion can save people. There are many instances where religion saves a lot of people. Like, people going down a very wrong path in the sense where they're battling with addictions, they're battling with negativity. Religion might be able to save them in the initial stage where they want a ready established system where they can go receive assistance, spiritual assistance, mental, emotional assistance, community assistance. That's the main thing, community. They receive a community when you go into religion. That's where it works, I think. After that, you need to leave. You need to get out of the religion. You need to step out. You cannot be consuming this establishment forever. Like, how long are you going to be there? That establishment offers a very good flotation. I think religion is a flotation device. If you're drowning, you can hold on to it, get to the shore, and then leave the flotation device. Let it float away. Let it save someone else. It's not your job to carry it with you everywhere. So if you're carrying a flotation device on land, you're basically waiting to see someone who's drowning, or you're manifesting someone who's drowning. You'll drown people and then throw them the life thing. Like, oh, you're drowning now, take this now, come back to us. Now you're a part of us. This is what's happening, right? This is what a lot of religions do to convert people. In Australia, like, a lot of times I'll be sitting on the sidewalk, I'll be having a smoke, I'll be chilling, and I am very content in that moment where I've either come from work. So I was a chef in Australia, so I used to really enjoy that. After you have like a long shift, you just sit down, you have a smoke, you relax, and somewhere from the other, some guy will come, like, have you met Jesus? Do you know who Jesus is? I'm like, bro, please leave from here. Like, मेरे पास time नहीं है तेरे लिए. And this is not about one religion, ठीक है? I'm not saying anything. I am a big fan of Christ. The stories and the consciousness. I'm a big fan of Christ, but I'm a not a big fan of the church. I'm not a big fan of religion as such. Once a religion hone do, I think they are all stupid because of how people are treating them. People have made it into a commodity. People have made it into a business. People have made it into identity. So of course, it's going to get you into trouble, right? Like, if you are a die-hard fan of a spiritual leader, if you just catch one guy, like I had caught Sadhguru at one point in my life. I started speaking like him, I started thinking like him, I started walking like him. And then you have to snap out of it, right? You learn, ki, oh shit, I am becoming that guy. Whoever he is, he's a human, he's a mortal. He's gonna die. Like me, he's also going to die. Everyone's going to die. So yeah, I think religion has those shortcomings. I think people have those shortcomings that they rely on something too much.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so you have disconnected yourself from religion, from mainstream, from people's
Yeah,
opinions.
like, I still do chanting. I still,
Okay.
yeah, I still wear this, which is like a rudraksh, small rudraksh. You see in my room, there's a Shiva painting there, there's Buddha there, there's Saraswati there. So so that's what I'm saying. Now the way I see these things is slightly more, I would say, evolved, because I see these as tools. They are tools in my tool closet. They have a certain technology, like, uh, you can do the chanting for them, imbibe them. You meditate with that tool in your mind, with that image of that deity. So every deity, like Saraswati, Shiva, whatever it is, they have certain characteristics about them, right? They live their life a certain way. And we have stories about them. So you learn these stories, you imbibe those qualities, you see how it works for you, and that's the way I see religion now. Now that doesn't mean I go to a temple. The last time I went to a temple, I don't remember when. It's not that temples I have anything against them. I just don't require uh, a temple. I don't need a
Okay.
temple.
Okay.
So
All
yeah,
right. Yeah. That's what I was saying. So you basically disconnected yourself from mainstream religion or mainstream opinions of what a career should be, what a life
yeah,
should
yeah,
be,
yeah,
what men and women should be, and you're spending more time reflecting on your own self, on
yeah,
nature. So as you spend more time in nature, because we live in a sort of a concrete jungle,
yeah.
people are always staring at screens. Do you sometimes feel that our mothers and aunts are right when they say, throw away your phone, your depression will just go away?
Uh, I think like see, like I think our mothers and our elders will only speak from their experience. Okay, they can only speak from their experience. Nobody can speak apart from that. So their experience is limited, right? They have only lived their life, and that too barely lived their own life. They've always been a part of someone else's life. So that's also why feminism had a place in the world, because these women needed to rise up because they just like followed whatever was going on. So I don't think that I would take them seriously. I don't think that I would listen to them about this. I would rather do my own research. I would understand how serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin work. I would understand how I can naturally uh, secrete these for myself. What are the activities that I can do? I would balance my life. I still spend 13 hours a day on my screen, without a doubt, still every day. At least 13
Yeah.
hours a day I spend on my screen.
Oh my
Uh,
god. Okay.
yeah, because that's the only
Isn't
thing
that
I
a
do.
problem
For whom? For
for
whom?
you?
No. Does it look like it's a
Okay.
problem?
But isn't there health consequences for your eyes and for your brain
See, I
if
don't
you
think
are?
screens are the problem. It's really what you are consuming on your screen that's the problem. It's what you're looking at, what you're spending time putting inside your brain and your senses, whatever those are absorbing. That so I have a very strong hygiene when it comes to consumption.
Okay.
I have a routine where I clean out my Instagram, I clean out my YouTube, I clean out all these apps with whatever comes, and I'm not interested. Like if it's like a girl wearing revealing clothes and dancing, if I see two three of those coming, I'll instantly go and click on not interested because I don't want to see that again and again. I want to see things that inspire me, that make me happy. Maybe even if it's like a cat video. Cat videos I'm fully in support of. If there are cat videos, I will never click on not interested. There are baby videos, I'll never click on not interested. But if there's this like some girl dancing, some guy being alpha male, all this shit I will clear out instantly because I don't want your opinion in my brain. I will never follow other content creators who work like me. I will never listen to their work at all because I don't want to mix. I don't want to, I just don't want to do that. I want to live my life, make my opinions, and then share that opinion with the world. So, in this answering your question, I think my hygiene is the most important thing. I have a social media hygiene which I follow very critically, where I don't let anything show on my screen which I don't resonate with or that may be having an effect on me. If I find that this content is making me, uh, sorry, I think you're stuck. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, all good, all good.
okay.
So if I find that this content is making me want something more, like if it's giving me a sense of lack, कि अरे गौरव तेरे पास ये नहीं है, you don't have this, wouldn't be amazing if you have this. That content's out. I don't need that content in my life because I've realized you are whole, complete as you are. This moment is everything that you need in your life. Anything that's telling you that oh you haven't done anything, this is what you need to do, this is what you need in your life, that can go away. And that took years of practice of just like falling in love with myself, becoming my best friend. That took me a lot of time. That took me years and years of work and of living by myself and doing these things and trying to belong to groups that are not respectful to you, trying to belong to communities that are not respectful to you or circles that are not respectful to you. Trying, and trying and then feeling sad ki, why am I not being accepted in these group of people? I find them extremely cool. मैं तो उनके लिए इतना कुछ कर रहा हूँ. I'm going out of my way to make them happy. Why are they not accepting me? So doing these things was very important. Barking up the wrong tree was very important for me to realize which is the right tree, and that I don't need to bark also. Whichever tree I find is good, I'll automatically rise up to the tree. So, but I have to do those wrong things to realize uh, that I don't need to try that hard. Uh, Things can unfold on their own.
Okay. So you said that you stare at this, you look at the screen for 13
I
hours a day.
use
I'm
the
sure a
screen,
lot
yeah,
of,
for 12, 13 hours
yeah,
at least in a day.
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
sure not all of that is consumption. I'm sure a lot of that is work as well.
No, no,
And even most,
95%, 90% is consumption. I hardly work, dude. I don't, like, my work happens very fast. I'm very efficient with what I do. Unless it's a
okay,
very tricky task that I need to spend time on. Uh, like my legs start shaking. If I have to work for more than 10 minutes at a time, my legs start shaking. So I've designed my life in such a way where I don't work. Everything is a play, and I am just playing I'm playing always, just like, yeah. And that's how that I changed the narrative. I'm changing the narrative of my life, constantly changing.
okay, when you say play, do you mean like play that generates income? Are you
Yeah.
redefining work as
Yes.
play? Okay,
Absolutely.
okay,
Absolutely.
okay,
Absolutely. Yeah.
okay, fine. So when you stay 12, 13 hours every day at the screen, and a lot of that is consumption, even on your Instagram videos, most of your videos you always have headphones on
Headphones.
your
Yes. Yeah.
neck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to ask, like, what do you consume? What kind of content
Content. Yeah.
that do you really enjoy?
Yeah. I enjoy a lot of podcasts. I enjoy listening to Osho a lot. I enjoy listening to Alan Watts a lot. I love comedy. I'm a big, big, big comedy fan. I probably know a little more about comedy than an average Indian comic, because I dived so deep into comedy in the world that I'm very well aware, and in that's not a flex. I'm just saying कि इतना देख लिया है, इतना consume कर लिया है कि I just happen to know shit about these comics, what kind of style they do, where they did that show, what that joke was. I listen, I get into the comedians live. I like to watch their interviews. I like to listen to their worldview. My favorite comedians like Ricky Gervais is one. Then there's a show called Kill Tony. I don't know if you've heard of Kill
Yeah,
Tony. So Kill Tony is my shit, bro. Like I've watched those episodes, and that's what's going on in the background a lot of the time. Kill Tony is going on. It's just that sometimes I have to mute it because it's a very loud show. So if I need to focus on something related to work, then I need to mute it for some time. But that's my like ideal go-to thing to do is to watch comedy. And I like to watch movies, good movies that I find. Um, I'm a big fan of Adam Sandler. So everything is very curated in my life. I don't happen to stumble upon, like ऐसे नहीं है कि the algorithm is showing me something and ठीक है मैं बह जाता हूँ इसमें. I don't flow like that. Like that's why I always curate whatever I'm doing, curate what I'm watching. So in that way, it's like I'm taking charge of what I want to consume.
okay.
But yeah, I do
Yeah,
consume a lot, a lot. I think
okay.
it's abnormal levels of consumption I do.
Yeah, you brought up Kill Tony, and there was the Indian version of Kill Tony as
Yeah,
well, which
latent.
is India's Got Latent,
Yeah,
which as predictable, people got
yeah, yeah,
offended
yeah,
and they had to take down
yeah,
that
yeah,
show.
yeah.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Bro, when latent was going on, I love Samir
Yeah.
Raina. Okay, he's a fucking
Okay.
amazing guy. But even when the show was going on, I used to be like, "Fuck, don't say that, man. You're living in India. This is not Kill Tony. This is not America." Like I had those moments as well, where in my head I was like, "भाई ये बहुत ज़्यादा बोल दिया है. ये तो आग के साथ he's playing with fire. This is proper playing with fire." And he still got through, still got through, still got through, still got through. Then that Ranveer, when that guy came, when Beer Biceps came, is when all hell broke loose. Because this Beer Biceps is one of the most disconnected fools on the internet. As talented as he is as a podcaster, he's hyper disconnected with reality. He has no clue about what reality actually is. And I don't know, man. I think that's when things really hit the fan, shit hit the fan, is because I feel like the audience that Ranveer Alabadia has is like I would call them very basic people in life. I was that also. Then but the thing with me was I grow out of things. Once I see that, oh shit, this is what it is, I grow out of it. But there are many people who give blind support to their celebrities, right? कि वो जान dedicate कर देते हैं उनको कि even if they understand or don't understand what that person is doing. So Ranveer has that kind of crowd where they are like, he's such a pure heart, he's talking about meditation, spirituality, he's a patriot and this, that. और फिर आके उसने हक दिया latent पे. He said this, very weird thing which was already an existing joke and he messed up.
Yeah, see, I think the joke was not that offensive because that joke was already said many
Already
times in
said,
the past.
yeah, it's the
Yeah,
image.
the problem was the person who said it.
Yeah,
Okay, if someone
exactly.
else had made that joke, nobody
Exactly.
would have cared.
Battered an
I
eye.
think
Yeah.
what Ranveer does is he introduces a sense of bipolarity
Yeah.
because on his podcast, right, he has two channels, and I've noticed this in the same week. On his one channel, he's talking about nofap, and
Yeah.
on his other channel, he's talking about how to get girls.
Yeah.
And this bipolarity
Yeah.
makes him look like a hypocrite.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if he's really a hypocrite because I think you can talk about no fap and getting girls at the same time.
You can. Yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can, yeah.
Yes.
Can,
Because in
but
our
it
life,
appears as
yeah.
hypocrisy.
Yeah.
And when a person talks about Hanuman Chalisa, goes and makes a jokes like this,
Yeah.
that is what offended people.
Exactly.
Okay, if a
Exactly.
person would have made a joke, it's fine. But Hanuman Chalisa fellow is making this joke. That is offensive.
Exactly. Like there was this video that got leaked about Tanmay and Ranveer talking to each other. I don't know if you saw that. उनका एक video call या live चल रहा था. And Tanmay Bhatt is someone I have immense respect and love for. ठीक है, like he's an amazing guy. He's telling Ranveer कि तू content का दल्ला है. You're a pimp of content because you will do anything that gets you numbers. You actually have no standard as such. Your only standard is कि इंटीरियर कैसा दिख रहा है पॉडकास्ट का, गेस्ट का credibility कितना है on paper. That's all the standard he actually had, to be honest. Because what you said, you said the same thing in a much nicer way, in a softer way. What Tanmay is also saying is the same thing, but in a very like that kind of way, where he knows him very well and this and that.
Yeah, because Ranveer, before he got into podcasts, he was a fitness influencer. He was talking about creatine and protein powders.
Yes.
And then this incident happened where Ayushmann Khurrana came and he said that if you have protein powder, the protein powder is very bad. It will remain in your gut for 3 years.
Oh.
And this guy, yeah, it was a huge controversy. It's unscientific. Protein powders are actually good for you and all that.
Yeah.
And Ayushmann Khurrana, this typical Indian thing, which, protein powders, if you have it, it'll be stuck in your body for 3 years. And Ranveer doesn't interrupt, even though he has high knowledge about protein powders, all he does is his typical...
That weird face.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Ranveer got screwed for that. All the fitness influencers were like, how can he tolerate something like this?
Yeah, this is something he should have reacted to instantly. But yeah, that's what. He didn't want to piss off his guests. So that's why he's called a dalla. Because he's not a real person, right? He's a talk show host who's not on anyone's salary. He's just created a world where he's going to, I don't know, it's very cheap. And this is like the media kind of approach to things where you don't piss off your host or your guest, where you just agree to everything they have to say. That's what he did, na? And that's why he became big in that sense, because he sucked up to everybody. He kissed all the asses that were there in present. Like, he just went around on a rampage of kissing ass, and he got where he is. Like, that's a great way to make it to the top, right? Flattery. Yeah, you just make everyone.
By doing that, he actually shattered a narrative that was very strongly existing in this country. that if you kiss a lot of ass and if you get a lot of BJP guys on your
Yeah, yeah,
podcast, you'll be
yeah,
protected.
yeah.
You'll be very well protected. That didn't
Gotcha.
happen.
I'm so glad you brought that. Yeah, bro, absolutely. You're right. You're right. You're right. So in India, the
So,
top thing is being offended. Like if you offend someone, that's it. Nobody's gonna come and help you.
exactly. So, at least this should be a lesson for the rest of us who are aspiring to go to the top by
By kissing
inviting
ass, yeah.
politicians.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, and
So,
he's a special
anyways,
case. Yeah.
yeah. He's a case study, man. He's a case study. So, is moving on, is generational trauma real? Or is it just a overhyped term used by youngsters to blame everything on their parents and not take self responsibility?
I think generational trauma, like you said, it can become a tool of excuse very easily. Uh, that's one thing for sure. That if you're constantly using it as an excuse without working on it, without trying to snap out of it, then it's an excuse. But like earlier we were talking and how I mentioned that upbringing matters a lot. So I don't know about multiple generations, but at least the generation that raised you, your parents. If your parents have raised you, whatever way they've raised you in, is naturally influenced by their parents and their parents. So in that sense, generational trauma can exist because it's a generation by generation knowledge that's being passed, and the knowledge is acquired out of an experience of trauma. So if their parents have experienced कि मेरा बच्चा कॉलेज जाके सिगरेट पीने लग गया, ठीक है, so the trauma that their children will have when they have children is that don't give this guy enough pocket money, वरना ये लोग ऐसे ही करते हैं, बच्चे भी ऐसे ही करते हैं, वो लोग जाके कुछ भी खा लेंगे, कुछ भी पी लेंगे. So I'm just saying कि that knowledge is being transferred out of an unhealed trauma that they think that they could have stopped it in some way. You cannot stop a child who wants to smoke. You cannot do that. Like you try. The more you try to stop him, the more rampant he is going to become. The more you try to control him, the more rampant he is going to become. This is the law of nature. This the people who manage to just listen to their parents, ठीक है, पेरेंट्स ने बोल दिया ये गलत है, and they follow that, they eventually reach a breaking point in life where they've realized they've not lived life on their own terms, and this has a much adverse effect than becoming a rebel at an early age. When people realize much later that they have not lived their own life, so like midlife crisis or whatever, all these things that happen to people, they happen because they realize that they have not lived life on their terms. And generational trauma exists, according to me, it exists there. Like, like if suppose my dad was very critical about my body, if he constantly told me ki, you're so fat and you keep eating and you're not healthy. This happened in my life, in my childhood. So naturally, I held that very personally. I was never happy about my body. I was never happy about how I look. Very ashamed of how I look for most of my life till like say till 18, 19. So that in a way, if I had not healed that part of me, if I had taken that man seriously, if I had gone to the gym because of his words, he's telling me I'm very fat, ugly, this, that, whatever. Then now I'll go to the gym and I'll become fit and I'll show him. Okay. If I followed that path, then I would have not healed my trauma, right? I would have just actually taken him seriously. I would have gone to the gym, and that which is a good thing. Being fit is a good thing. I'm not saying it's not. But if I kept believing his narrative, and if I kept living with that narrative, it's very natural that I would pass it on to my children. I will pass it on to my younger brother. I would pass it on to the people that I am big in education. I want to be in education eventually. I want to create an organization that teaches young Indian children how to be in tune with society, like government school, stuff like that. So for me, it's important that all the generational trauma or whatever that is, whatever narratives that was set, they have to be broken. So I think that's where
Okay.
I see it.
Okay, what are your views on things like liberal parenting, for example, in
Mm.
this generation, especially when you see a kid kicking others, or when you see a kid throwing things at the supermarket, and the parents are like, "No, you just have to let him explore. I
But
don't
that's
want to
stupid, no?
discipline him."
That's very stupid.
Yeah.
Because you need to tell your kid that what you're doing is wrong. And if they are creating a ruckus in public property, and you are being liberal with it, you are actually being an idiot in that situation. Because you are making others suffer for your stupid idea of what parenting should be like. अभी वो supermarket का staff आके he'll have to clean all that, right? There will be other people being affected by this nuisance that's happening. Now you are a liberal parent and you are like, this is how it should happen, but others are getting irritated by it, right? There's so many people who you are making their life hard because your child is uncontrollable right now. And that doesn't mean you control your child in all moments, but you need to have some grip on the child because at some point you need to guide them in the right direction. You need to nudge them, you need to remind them of the right direction. And liberal parenting where you become let your child be an asshole, that's not liberal parenting. You are an unhealed person who's passing on random unchecked science. You're like, you're not even doing things scientifically. So you think you're doing things scientifically, but you're not. Your child needs to be told sometimes what is right, what is accepted, what is not accepted. Uh, but I think there is some truth in the liberal parenting. Like recently, I've been reading about this homeschooling thing, about how homeschooling is becoming a thing in India as well. It's been there outside, but in India also it's becoming a thing. So these children, they get to study for a few hours. Okay, they need to study maybe 2, 3 hours in a day, and the rest of the time they can play. They can explore whatever they want. That is how children should be raised. That's the true meaning of raising a child is let them play. Like you don't burden them with all this bullshit. Don't ask them to sit for 8 hours in a school. What is that? You're teaching them how to be a good slave, right? But these kids who are homeschooled, bro, you will not believe how sorted they are in their heads. They are so like relaxed and they're so complete. Like they are like, whatever it is, yeah, we'll learn how to solve it. We'll solve the problem. We know what to do in this situation. We know a little bit. The way they speak is very different. The way they interact is very different. The way they see their position in the world is very different. And obviously, homeschooling is a thing that rich, privileged kids are doing at the moment because their parents can afford the resources. In fact, it's a little bit cheaper also than school because you don't have to pay the school fees. So, but you just need a parent who is dedicated to that child. That itself is a rarity now because parents themselves are so intertwined with survival that they have to run every day to make ends meet and stuff like that. But I feel
Yeah,
that yeah,
yeah, I think whoever can afford to homeschool their kids should.
yeah,
And I've had homeschooling parents on this podcast as well from
yeah. How's
Pune.
that?
Yeah, so I got this lady called Tate. This was years ago.
Mm,
She homeschooled both her sons,
mm,
and they're adults. They're older than us.
mm.
One son is an engineer. The other son is a musician. They turned out to be fine.
Yeah,
The main issue with homeschooling kids is that people say that, oh, if you homeschool them, they'll turn out to be weird.
yeah, yeah,
uh, Let them be weird, okay? But because societies, when they say, when the word weird is used by society, weird is nothing but natural.
yeah,
Weird is our natural state. So what they really mean to say is that your kids will be natural. They will not bend over to
yeah,
authority. It's fine. It's okay.
yeah,
And these homeschooled kids, a lot of the time, they get to spend more time in nature, in farms. They
yeah.
get to learn about agriculture. If they're because this lady who I got, she was not just into homeschooling, she was also into permaculture, into
Permaculture. Oh,
home
nice,
farming.
nice.
So,
Yeah,
the kids got to learn all these things, which is far more useful than by hearting some random
yeah,
information.
yeah.
That's
Absolutely,
what I thought. Yeah.
absolutely. And like you said, now being weird is just being natural. Like this ADHD, bipolar, all of these things, they are just abilities of a human to do things differently, but it doesn't fit in the norm of what a good factory worker should act like. Like you cannot be a good factory worker if your brain has ADHD, right? Because you are meant to do one cap like this for 8 hours. You're meant to do this for 8 hours. You can't have a bright, vivid mind that shows you new things every 5 minutes because you won't survive in that doing this for 8 hours. So we'll give you pills to shut that down, to drug you, to sedate you, so that you become dumb enough to do this for 8 hours. So it's the same thing what you're saying, where they are not weird, they are just being themselves, which doesn't fit into the norm of what people expect.
Yeah. So, how can we find fulfillment in life?
By enjoying the moment that you're in. And so when you like I told you, my primary outlook on life is that life should be good, it should be enjoyable for me. So then you reverse engineer life from there. Like what is the best way for you to enjoy life? Then you reverse, come back. You need money for that. How do you make money? Okay, money can be made this way. But I don't want to fucking spend 8 hours in an office in the middle of 200 people who hate their life. I want to make money my own way. So how do I do that? What are the skills I have? What are the skills I want need to learn? So reverse engineering from the point of just I want to enjoy my life. I want to wake up when I want to. I want to be with my family. I don't want to spend 4 hours on the road traveling to work. So I think that's the best way to find fulfillment is reverse engineer from your point of fulfillment and
So,
explore
you
mushrooms.
had. Sorry?
Explore mushrooms
And do?
and do mushrooms.
Okay, okay. Yeah, this is a top. So, because my next question was that what are some I've even written it down. Like I was about to ask,
Yeah.
what are some interesting experiments that you've done in your life? But I'm going to scrap that question because you just brought
Yeah,
shrooms.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So tell me your experience with psychedelics and
So first
shrooms,
I'll tell
if
you
you're
about
okay.
what is mushrooms, in what way is accessible to us right now. Like there is a company called Nuvedo, who's a Bangalore-based startup. I'm not sure if you heard of them, but they make mushroom extracts, and they are like family to me now. We've known each other for 3 years, and we've just become family to each other. And you should try their extracts. Those extracts are made from one is from reishi, one is from shiitake, one is from cordyceps, one is from lion's mane. These are four different types of mushrooms. One helps with clarity, one helps with relaxing, reducing inflammation, one helps with endurance, one helps with immunity. Okay, so that we'll start there because that's the legal way of experiencing mushrooms. That's the legal way of bringing mushrooms into your life and letting your life enhance because of those mushrooms. Now talking about psychedelic mushrooms. Um, I did a lot of psychedelic mushrooms when I was in Australia. Because in Australia, what happens is there are certain train stations. जब आप बाहर चलते हो ना, there'll be a trail of mushrooms growing. You can pick like 2 kgs of those heavily psychedelic mushrooms, bring them home, dry them in your dryer. You have an air dryer for food, and you have mushrooms for the entire year. So it's that easy to get those mushrooms. Okay? So it's natural. There are many people experimenting. There are many people doing it. And what kind of fucking idiot calls it illegal when it's growing in the ground and you pick it up and you eat it? So obviously they are scared of the effects. They are scared not because you'll lose your mind. You are supposed to lose your mind. They are scared because you start asking questions after that. You'll be unhappy with how government does the work. You'll be unhappy with basic things in life. You will not like dealing with people who give you a bad vibe after that. You will be like, fuck it, this person is fucking evil. I don't want to deal with him. I don't feel like I deserve to spend, like that person deserves my time. Whatever it is, you'll start questioning basic fabric of society. The illusion that has been created, you'll question everything. So, mushrooms for me have been my main healer. I have not had a mentor as such in my life. I have not had a teacher in my life. I would say I've not even had a father wala father. I've had a father who's provided for us, spent his entire life working his ass off, okay, creating a better life for us. So that I'm here now talking about all these ऊपर ऊपर की बातें कर रहा हूँ मैं क्योंकि he covered the basics for us. So so I didn't have that mentor kind of a figure in life. Mushrooms was that teacher for me. And mushrooms has helped me to work through my traumas. It has allowed me to feel this deep sense of love and protection that is existing everywhere around us. So what mushrooms, psychedelic mushrooms do is that you do them a couple of times. Okay? It's not like first time itself you do और wow, life change हो गई. नहीं, पहली बार, दूसरी बार, तीसरी बार गांड फटने वाली है. People will cry, you will puke, you will be rolling on the road, you'll be doing all sorts of shit because it's gonna be making you throw tantrums. All the negativity, all the toxic shit, all the way you've defined your life, how limited you've defined your life, everything will get destroyed. You will have nothing to hold on to because everything is crumbling around you. Once that happens, then naturally, once everything you've created in your brain and your consciousness crumbles and falls, you start looking at a leaf, you start looking at the birds, like, fuck, I've never seen these many lines on a leaf, dude. And you just stare at it for like hours on mushrooms and the leaf is changing, this is happening, that is happening. And then slowly the hallucinations go down, which you start getting more aligned with yourself. So when you get aligned, hallucinations go down and you're just looking at a leaf for the lines that are in the leaf. You're looking at a flower, you're just observing a mountain. You're like, I have never experienced a mountain this beautiful. And it's the mountain that you watch every day in your life. You'll feel breathing is like a new adventure in life because you'll feel the breath going in your lungs, expanding, your blood getting oxygenated. You'll feel goosebumps coming on your body. I'm getting goosebumps right now. See, this is because this is real. This is as real as it gets. Mushrooms have been put here for a reason. There is no creator, there is no God, there's nothing. There's just nature. You have some tools, you pick it up, you eat them, you learn, you see something, and you grow. And mushrooms will tell you that like, it will connect you. Like when I say no God, in the sense that there's nobody in the sky sitting there judging how your life should go. Some things are written in life, some things are not written, but again, I won't go there because I don't know about that stuff. I feel like it's useless. It's not worth my time thinking about what is destined and what is not destined. As I live my life, I find out. That's the best policy that I have. As I discover, as I live, I find out. So yeah, that's where mushrooms is, and I think we need to have a system where we can administer psychedelic mushrooms to people in a safe space, uh, approved by the government, approved by the world. The world is already doing it. India mein aana chahiye. We should have care centers where people can go and do mushroom experiences under the guidance of professionals and heal themselves, start their healing process.
Okay, yeah, that's very interesting.
Have you
Yeah,
tried?
I
Have you
I
had
can.
any experiences?
Once
Okay,
with mushrooms only once,
okay.
and this was 10 years ago. But it
Okay.
was, yeah, it was extremely heavy. It was too much in
Yeah,
Kodaikanal.
yeah. Yeah, the
Yeah,
first few times are very heavy. And even like later it can become heavy. So there's no, it's not a fun, it's not a fun thing to do always. It's not a fun thing actually. ये जो कॉन्सेप्ट ये नैरेटिव बना है ना लोगों के दिमाग में कि अरे नशे करके एकदम मस्त में रहते हो तुम लोग. अरे भाई करके देख, तेरी मरी हुई नानी तेरे आंखों के बाहर आएगी. Your dead grandmother will be walking in front of you. Then you see who's having fun and what is fun. Your idea of fun will change. So always these people who don't haven't tried it will have all kinds of opinions, and this is the majority. This is the
yeah,
majority.
because their idea of getting high is alcohol.
Alcohol, yeah, numbing.
Yeah, that's fun. You know,
Yeah, yeah, that's
alcohol. Yeah,
numbing. Na?
that's
You're
their
like
idea.
killing your brain cells so that only little bit can be felt, and that little bit is usually the basic happiness, the basic connection. So when you drink alcohol, you sit with a guy who you can't tolerate. But when you have 3, 4 beers, you suddenly be able to talk to him. You suddenly be very natural with him, and you mainly it's not about that guy. It's also about yourself. You'll be able
Yeah.
to leave your thing aside for some time. You won't take yourself that seriously. You'll let go of your inhibition. So in that sense, alcohol helps social lubrication, but alcohol is a very big poison. It's a primary poison in our world. and we should be taking it cautiously.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree. Yeah,
yes.
yeah. My only psychedelic experience was very heavy, and at least I handled it well. One of my friend, he went so negative that he had to. He was almost in tears. He was almost crying.
That's what's
It was
supposed to
quite.
happen.
Okay.
That is what is supposed to happen. You were trying to fight it. He was letting go. He was winning. You were not winning.
No.
Then,
He was trying to fight it even harder,
oh, okay, but
because he had a slightly tougher. He had a life that's slightly tougher than
okay,
mine.
okay,
So he had, I think, he probably had more to fight than
yes,
me.
yes,
Okay, so for him it was harder probably because of that.
yeah,
And when the trip was coming down, when the high was coming down, I was enjoying myself.
mm,
He began to drink to get out of it.
mm,
He was like, I can't take this anymore. But I've never done psychedelic. I have never consumed psychedelics after that.
huh,
But last year I could experience psychedelics even without consuming anything, because of this thing called Lucia light therapy. I don't know
yeah,
if you know
yeah,
this.
nice,
Okay, yeah, because that was enough for me.
mm,
It just lasts around 40 minutes. There's no, it's legal. I'm not taking anything into my body.
yeah,
Yeah, that was my kind of trip.
nice. I've
But
not tried
but
it,
yeah,
but I have people
yeah.
who do it. I've just not tried it yet.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I think we spoke a little bit about God as well. So
Mm,
I think I'll just conclude the podcast
yeah.
by asking what your thoughts are on afterlife, and if you believe that our life even has a purpose.
Mm. Um, like I really like how Sadhguru says this thing. Uh, when people ask him about afterlife, he's like, he says some things are best experience. Like some things are best experience, right? When you die, you'll find out what is afterlife. Uh, so I see it that way. I found that a very conclusive answer in my search for what is afterlife, because I personally couldn't care at all about what is afterlife. It doesn't matter to me at all कि मरने के बाद क्या होने वाला है. मैंने बहुत सोचा इसके बारे में. I spent many years chasing this. I spent many years researching this when I was studying about Buddhism, like I told you, at the age of 18, 19. So by the age of 25, 26, I was studying about Agora. I was studying about Tantra. I was deep into all of these things. Okay, and I had some questions. But over time, I realized it's so irrelevant to the moment of life that I'm experiencing right now. This moment that I'm sharing with you, the afterlife, even in fact, yesterday also and tomorrow, is so irrelevant to me. Like it holds nothing of importance except, of course, the lessons that I've learned over the time, the funny stories that I can maybe share with you, the interesting stories that I can share with you, and stories that will help you learn about that particular thing that I've experienced. Whatever that may be, it may be a situation, it may be a country, it may be whatever. But that's the only relevance I have from the past and the future, is that can it help someone to learn something new? Um, so that's my opinion about afterlife. But this reincarnation thing, right? This is something that still interests me a little bit, because what has happened is, while growing up, I found myself very inclined towards certain skills like writing poems. मेरे को poem writing किसी ने सिखाया नहीं ना बचपन में. Nobody taught me how to write a poem. Nobody taught me how to write also. So how did I start writing poems at the age of 7 or 8? And poems that were moving adults. Adults were getting shaken by reading those poems. So, but for me, it was a normal thing. I was doing it to get girls. I was like, मैं poem लिखूंगा, लड़की impress होगी, शायद हाँ बोल देगी, but किसी ने हाँ नहीं बोला. Poem सबको पसंद आया, but हाँ किसी ने नहीं बोला. That was my reason. And I was just finding it very easy to express myself. But then the motive became कि मेरे को likes मिलेंगे and I'll feel good about myself. So then I kept writing more and more for validation, which I don't think is wrong. But those things just made me think, ki, what if in the past life I was already practicing these skills? And that's why it has become so second nature to me. Like I told you, I've been DJing for like 10, 12 years. And during pandemic, my friend installed the software on my laptop by force. He insisted, and by force he installed the software called Logic. Logic is a music production software where you compose, you produce, you master your own music. पूरा आपका मतलब पूरा music आप उसमें से बना सकते हो. Um, and he has always been a big fan of my musical sense. In the sense that my DJing and in the way I approach music, I've just gathered a lot of good friends around that. And I realized over time that, okay, I have some strong inclination towards music and that I can make it happen. So in long story short, he gave me the software, uh, and I had a keyboard that I got that connects to the thing. I started making music within 3 days, musical pieces that are 8 to 9 minutes, 10 minutes long, that musicians are hearing, and they are not able to believe what is they are hearing, because it's so pure, it's so non-beginner, it's so different, and it's still so fresh that I am not able to recreate it after I've done it once. Okay, so it's like a flow state. You know what a flow state is? You just enter that state, you do something, and then you come out of it, and you have no connection with it after that, because you were in a state where it's not like you were in control in full sense. Like, you were sort of a good vessel. Like that's when, like, people, when they come to me after my DJ set, sometimes that has happened, people were in tears after my DJ set. And my DJ set is a dance music set. Like, I'm going like 140 BPM dark psychedelic music I'm playing. I'm mixing that with Indian fusion. Whatever I do whatever I do in that moment. But people come and cry and they say, "Oh, how did you do that? What did you do?" I'm like, I didn't do anything. If you ask me to recreate it, I cannot recreate it, because at that moment I was being a very good vessel, and being a very good vessel is like, you're basically a tool for download and upload. Like, you just letting things come inside you. You have an instrument, or you have an instrument, or you have an instrument, or whatever it is, whatever your handiwork is, you let information download and you upload through that. So that's all I was doing, and I could feel that happening through me. So that's why I just kept going for 6 8 hours without anything. Like, मेरे को ना प्यास लग रही है, मेरे को ना टॉयलेट जाना है, मेरे को ना कुछ करना है, क्योंकि मैं हूँ ही नहीं वहां पे. आई एम नॉट प्रेजेंट देयर, and it's just like everything is being regulated by itself. So that's why DJing, I was like, oh fuck, this is amazing. Like, this is my like an amazing spiritual practice, or whatever practice also, to just get out of my own head, you know, to not experience so much burden of my thoughts, my identity. I am doing the act of doing. It took away all of that pressure from my life. Like, no, bro, you're just twisting some knobs. Just like, listen to the intuition. It'll guide you in everything you want to do. So, and like, unlike other DJs, I don't DJ like other DJs. 98% DJs use headphones to DJ. I am not using headphones to DJ. I am just taking risks and playing with it, as like, and I'm also hearing the song many times for the first time, where as I'm playing. तो तो मेरा थोड़ा पागलों वाला सीन है, नॉर्मल नहीं है, मतलब है थोड़ा.
Okay. I want to make a couple of comments
Yeah,
before I
yeah, please.
ask one question. So, firstly, on the reincarnation, you spoke about this how you were writing poems
Yeah,
when you were a kid, even
yeah,
though nobody taught you. Yeah, there is some research going on reincarnation in University of Virginia. There are these researchers, like people like Jimby Trucker, I think his real name is.
uh,
What they've done is that during the 90s, they took some kids. These kids were like, 3-year-old, 4-year-old kids saying that, hey, I was a Hollywood director in my previous life. I was this gangster in my previous life,
mm,
blah, blah, blah. And I was in this street, in this city. And the parents were shocked, like, how does this kid know the name of that street
mm,
from that city?
mm.
Okay, and then these parents, they started to explore, and they realized that in that street, in that city, there was a person who explained exactly what this kid is saying, and who also died around the same time this kid was born. and then these researchers in University of Virginia compiled tons of those cases, not one or two, but tons of those cases. It's still not conclusive. There's still skepticism saying that, oh, this is all
Yeah, there'll always
pseudoscientific.
be skepticism.
Yeah, but it's very interesting that they could find not one but a bunch of those stars. Okay, that's one comment I wanted to make. The other one is flow state. I found this really funny reel quite recently on Instagram where a guy is like, if you want to get to a flow state, forget meditation and breath work and all that, just shave your balls. When you're shaving your balls, when you're shaving your balls, you're not thinking of the end result. You're not thinking of the outcome. You're not thinking of the past. You're not thinking of the present.
Yeah.
You're just there in
You're
the
just
moment.
there, yeah,
Very
sure you don't
careful.
cut your balls off.
I mean, how can you experience flow state better than that?
Absolutely. It's a very funny one. So I'm gonna use that. So you're so focused, no? Like you're so in the moment. Nothing matters after that.
Exactly. Yeah, anyways, man, this was a fun conversation, and I just wanted to know. So you said you're a DJ. How can we listen to your music? Is it online somewhere?
Yeah, it's on SoundCloud. There are a couple of sets on SoundCloud,
Okay.
but I would suggest that ideally listen to me live. That would be
Okay.
best.
How can we listen to you live?
So the thing with music is I never wanted to make it a professional or a thing that I get known for. It has always been a very personal kind of a thing for me. So on SoundCloud, I've put like 3, 4 sets, pre-recorded sets, like recorded sets of my DJing. But it might be nice, but I don't think it's great. I don't think it's like even close to 60% of being like, proper. But it just is very good sound. But when you listen to me live, it's very different because, and that's the thing that I mean, I focus on with music also, is that live is better.
Okay. Okay. Hey, listen, man, thanks
Thank
a
you, man.
lot
It was
for
a really
coming on
good
the Labyrinth.
conversation.
This was a fun conversation.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.